Oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary. Oh Lord, prepare for to be a sanctuary. Oh Lord, prepare pure and holy to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. That I soon מקדש ושכנתי בתוכה, ואנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary
Welcome, folks. Shabbat Shalom. So nice to see all of you joining us via live stream. I'm Rabbi Stephen, and, here with Jordan and Seth, who are helping us man the Zoom room. And why don't we dive in with a song to welcome in Shabbat? Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. We welcome the angels, we welcome all of you, we welcome Shabbat into the space here together, whether it is your first time joining us via live stream or you are a long-standing member of Mishkan, whether you know the words or the words are unfamiliar, whether you know the melodies or the melodies are brand new. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for helping us build this sacred space online as we connect across distances to come together to welcome in Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom to each and every one of you tonight. We are going to be moving through bits of the service here together. We have slides to help you follow along, so I encourage you, look, this is like the time to sing loudly, to sing boldly, to try out the Hebrew or hum along, because you are in the comfort of wherever you happen to be. That is hopefully a comfortable space for you. You don't have somebody you don't know sitting next to you wondering, what are they singing? Right? Like you might if you were at a service. So this is like a good like practice time just to like let go and to try something new and to lean in a little bit into Shabbat. If you haven't already yet, I invite you to take a deep breath, just in through the nose and out through the mouth. We've made it to the end of the week. It is Friday. At least here in Chicago, the weather is warming up. It's beginning to feel a little bit like summer is around the corner. The sun is starting to break through those clouds as it sets. We're going to have a beautiful sunny day here tomorrow, a beautiful Shabbat. So we've done it, folks. You made it to this moment, and no matter what you're carrying right now, whether it's a heavy burden, whether it's heartbreak, whether it's stress, whether it's a long to-do list, or maybe if you're carrying blessing and joy and happiness and energy into this weekend, wherever you might find yourself, this is your moment just to take a little bit of time. We'll be together for 45 to 50 minutes or so, and just breathe, to relax, and just to be, and to know that in being, you are absolutely enough, just as you are. I should have warned you to grab candles. This is your warning to grab candles. I'm going to slowly turn around if you haven't grabbed your candles and matches yet. And we are going to bring up the blessing for candle lighting. Light our candles. Take our hands, we wave the light in towards us. Cover our eyes and we say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, folks. Let's continue with Ana B'choach. Ana B'choach, B'choach, Gedulat Yemincha, Yemincha. Tatir tzerura kaber rinatamcha sagbeinu tareinu nora Ana bechoach bechoach gedulat yemincha yemincha Tatir tzerura kabel rinatamcha sagmeinu tareinu nora Ana bechoach gedulat yemincha Tatir tzerura kabel rinatamecha sagbeinu tareinu nora Ana bechoach gedulat yamincha Tatir tzerura kabel rinatamecha sagbeinu tareinu nora Aidai, 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 aidai. Continue with L'cha Dodi. This is a moment for you to just think about what is it that you need in this space right now. Right? We opened up with the acknowledgement that where you are, who you are, what you bring at this moment is enough. It's exactly where you need to be right at this very second. And all the work and all the movement and all the change that needs to happen, it's for tomorrow. But for right now, just being, breathing, existing is just enough. So the question then is, what do you need to invite into this space to help you lean into that? It's a little more spaciousness, a little more peace, a little more relaxation, more connection, whatever it is. Begin to just think of it in your mind, and as we welcome in the Shabbat bride together, to envision that coming into your space. You can even crack open a door or a window if you want to let that come into your space, and to say, okay, like I'm gonna create the space, the spaciousness, the openness to receiving that right now, whatever that might be. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Donai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet ve'litila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshavatila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi ve'lo tikalmi, Matitochachi u'matahemi, Bach echesu ani eami, V'nivneta ir tila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. V'haylim shisa shosayich, V'rachaku komev alayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Kimsos chatan al kala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Yamim u'smol tifrotzi, Ve'et Adonai ta'ariti, Al yadish ben parti, Ve'nismecha ve'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. I invite you to rise as you're able. Again, if you have a window or a door and you want to crack it open, we face that direction. We welcome in whatever it is that we need at this moment, even if we don't know what it is. Boi v'shalom materet bala, Gam besimcha u'v'tzohola, Toch emune am segula, Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Hayradayai, 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 hayradayai. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. One more time. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela. Hopefully you're feeling a bit more, just a little bit more warmed up, a little bit more ready to just to lean into relaxation. I know it sounds like such a funny concept, this idea that like we need to like warm up for relaxation, but like as somebody who has a habit of like white knuckling it a little bit through life, like I know that I definitely need like to create intentional space and to actually like exercise the muscle of relaxation. And these songs, this moment is to help us do that a little bit, like by putting aside our cell phones, by like just focusing on something, by singing, by breathing, by being. It's like, okay, like I can do it. I can like loosen that grip just a little bit, just a little bit. Just share a few words of Torah. After we'll do some prayers for healing, a few more songs. We'll have a moment for Mornas Kaddish as well. So this Shabbat, we start reading from the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers, and it opens 1 month after the construction of the Mishkan, this portable sanctuary and community center that the Israelites have built, when God's presence comes to dwell among them. And it also starts several weeks before the Israelites will depart from the foot of Mount Sinai to journey toward the Promised Land. And so as they prepare to set out, God asks for a census to be taken. First by designating a representative from each tribe, then by counting every male in that tribe old enough to bear arms. And in doing so, both the size of each tribe and who belongs to each tribe is established. And both number and lineage are key for the Israelites' next task, which is to organize their camp, so they can dismantle and rebuild it in a somewhat orderly fashion along their journey toward the land of Israel. And in the very middle, as this plan is given, in the very middle is the Mishkan, and then immediately surrounding it are the Levites, who are responsible for the care and the maintenance of the sacred center of the camp, as well as the families of Moses and Aaron, the two leaders of the Israelites in this moment. To the east are the tribes of Judah and Issachar and Zebulun. To the south, Reuven, Shimon, and Gad. To the west, Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin. And to the north, Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. And each tribe, they're under their banner, each tribe with their particular place and purpose, their particular way of doing things, their sense of identity, their sense of kinship in their corner of the camp. And so, like most Israelites, I imagine that many of us live in a corner of the proverbial camp with people who look like us and think like us, who speak like us, who act like us, who eat like us, who love like us, who pray like us, who vote like us. And while most of us know that what we see around us is only part of the bigger picture, we are rarely confronted in real time with this fact. So some of you might have read either on our social media or our latest newsletter that Rabbi Lizzie and I were invited to attend an interfaith breakfast celebrating the inauguration of Chicago's new mayor, Brandon Johnson. And I knew that I would be one of only a few Jews in the room, and I knew that I'd only be one of a few queer people in the room, and I knew that most likely I was going to be one of maybe like 2 queer Jews in the room. But walking into that space and seeing all of the faces that were there, probably 200, 300 people in that space, mostly Black and mostly Christian and mostly straight, I was really startled by how different my corner of Chicago is from other corners of the same city. So of course, immediately following this event, I went on Wikipedia, and even though I see mostly white and mostly queer and mostly Jewish faces where I live and where I work, did you know that Chicago is only 31% white? 31%. Our city is a plurality, which is becoming increasingly common in kind of major urban centers in the United States. We're a plurality where 30% and 29% of folks who live here identify as Latinx or Black, respectively. So it's basically 30, 30, 30. And while we as Jews in the city of Chicago are the second largest religious group, the 261,000 of us who live within the borders of the city only represent 3% of the population, whereas Christians account for 70% of the population in Chicago, pretty much evenly split between Catholicism and Protestantism. And I was really surprised because, I mean, I'm a rabbi, so I get it. I know I mostly exist in Jewish spaces, but I mostly exist in Jewish spaces. I know a lot of Jews. I'm surrounded by a lot of Jewish people, and I'm surrounded by a lot of queer people and a lot of white people, and this is not in any way, shape, or form majorities in any sense of the word in this city. So at his inauguration a few days after this interfaith breakfast, Johnson carefully chose speakers that represented this incredible diversity, this plurality. And yes, the Jewish community was present in a really beautiful blessing offered by Rabbi Shoshana at Temple Shalom just down the street. But we were just one, of many voices on that stage, Black and Latinx and Asian and Indigenous American. And our city is experiencing a shift right now. Corners of our encampment, if you will, that were once relegated to the margins are claiming their place in the center. Different banners are being raised than the ones that were raised before. Perhaps some we have never seen before because of a history of disinvestment or disenfranchisement. And this can be really startling because the narrative that we know, the story told in our corner by people similar to us, is being challenged. What we thought was true about our city, and I think more broadly the world, its successes and its failures and its growing edges, is being transformed, if not changed entirely, as more voices join the conversation. And on one hand, this is a very good thing. And on the other hand, this can be incredibly hard, because it also challenges our sense of person, our sense of place, and our sense of purpose. It is, in a way, a moment of revelation. So this coming Thursday, as the sun sets, we begin the holiday of Shavuot. On this day, we celebrate revelation, the revelation that the Israelites experienced at the foot of Mount Sinai, a moment that also challenged and transformed their sense of person and place and purpose, turning them into a community whose identity and values have endured across millennia to this very moment, to people who are tuning in right now. The Torah is clear that every single person standing at that mountain experienced this transformative moment. Every single person, regardless of their background, their gender, their ability, their age. And in this way, revelation was the great equalizer, but not equal in the sense that each Israelite saw and heard the same thing. The rabbis teach that each person experienced revelation in a way that was particular to who they were. Separately, every Israelite could only tell part of the story. Only together could they offer a complete narrative. The lesson that I believe is embedded in this particular telling is the need to listen to and learn from one another. This can be challenging because sometimes we are very attached to the narrow view that we experienced. We know it. It's comfortable. It's ours. It's our memory of that moment. It's what we saw from our vantage point. It's so familiar to us. But it is also only part of the story. To understand something bigger than ourselves, we need to reach outside of ourselves. Shavuot, the holiday of Shavuot, asks us to embody a posture of humility, to understand that we don't know everything, and that's okay. This is why we exist in community, to share our unique pieces of the puzzle to make a more complete picture. So one of the practices of Shavuot is to stay up all night learning. And you can actually do just that if you join us at Anshe Emet Synagogue on Thursday. We do this to make up for the fact, as the story goes, that on the day we were supposed to experience revelation at Mount Sinai, we slept in. And one might reasonably surmise that the Israelites were tired. I mean, we had just escaped slavery after all, right? The entire Passover story has just happened to them with the plagues and the splitting of the sea and the being chased by soldiers, right? No wonder they slept in. But I also wonder if they slept in because they were also scared or unsure or a little avoidant of what was about to happen. How much easier it was to sleep than have their entire world reshaped as a particular people in a particular place with a particular purpose via their particular relationship with God. How often, in the face of being shown a new way of seeing, do adults say, no? I'm saying adults here because I feel like the kind of beginner's mind of the child is very open to experiencing new things. But how often, in the face of being shown a new way of seeing things, do adults say, no, I'm going to look the other way. I'm going to close my eyes to different reality. And I get it. It's not entirely our fault. Social media and the bias of our news sources and how search algorithms bring us to certain pages and not others help us subconsciously create echo chambers that affirm our narrative of the world. We live in corners of this global encampment that constantly confirm what we believe to be true as true. And I know that we all know that this is the case. I believe that most people are aware of the fact that we mostly live in echo chambers of our own creation, with the aid of social media and news sources and our neighbors and where we live, etc. And Shavuot specifically is a moment of breaching the wall of those echo chambers, of wandering outside our corner of the encampment to remind us that we don't have the whole picture. And this is not an easy task at all. We like being in our comfort zone. I like being in my comfort zone. And it's okay to be there sometimes, right? You shouldn't always be in a place of discomfort. But rarely is our comfort zone a place where we learn. Mount Sinai was in the wilderness, far away from everything familiar and comfortable to the Israelites. Revelation was not found in the backyards of our ancestors' homes in Egypt. To step into a new understanding of themselves and the world, they had to step out of and away from what they knew best and open themselves to the possibility of not knowing. And so as we prepare to celebrate the memory of revelation from our mythic past, and as we prepare to celebrate the possibility of revelation that exists in this present moment, I want us to begin with ourselves. I want us to ask us a few questions. Where have I willfully closed my eyes to information that challenges what I understand to be true? Where have I turned my ears from voices that tell a different story from my own? Why do I do that? How can I practice being more curious about the parts of this world, this country, this city that are outside my corner? However comfortable and familiar my corner may be, and however hard and difficult and unfamiliar and scary those other corners might also be. How can I be better at not knowing? Because Shabbat comes to teach us, and I truly believe that it is only in not knowing that we come to know more about the world, about each other, and about ourselves. We're going to take a moment, having thought through some Torah together, to channel the blessing of being able to learn and continue learning into prayers for healing. And we often learn in honor of somebody who's struggling, to send good energy their way. And so if you're thinking of somebody in need of healing and you want to type their names down or share them with a neighbor or hold their names in your heart, whether it's a healing of body, of mind, or spirit, we send this blessing their way. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu l'chaim Ufros aleinu Sukat shalomecha Ufros aleinu Sukat shalomecha Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu l'chaim ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, ay. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We're going to turn now to Kaddish Tom. If you're thinking of somebody today on their yard site, you're remembering them a year or several years after their passing, or in your period of mourning, or Shiva, or Shloshim, the first 30 days of that first year, to call that person to your mind, share their name, I invite you to do so. May each and every one of their memories be for a blessing. If you're in a period of mourning or observing a yard site, I invite you to rise as you're able. Kaddish Tom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei tzachol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei al mayam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei t'kudusha brichu. La'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'yimru amen. May each and every one of their memories be for a blessing, and may we be a blessing to the memories in turn. We're going to round out our time together here with Kiddush, and maybe a song or two. So this is your 5-second warning to go grab some wine, some grape juice, and we'll say Kiddush here together. Cheers, folks. Va'erev vayvoker yom hashishi, vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz, v'chol tzevam, vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi'i, melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi'i, mikol melachto asher asa, vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i, vaykadesh oto, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי, זה לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן, אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Amen. Okay, before we go into our last song, you can keep the slide up, it's okay. Before we go into our last song, this is just another reminder, right? This is all The whole purpose of the service, this time together, our songs, our rituals, is just to help us lean a bit more into the spirit of Shabbat. So again, if you're still holding a little bit of that tension, a little bit of stress, I invite you to breathe again. Just return to the breath. Just let it out. Maybe one more time. And we let it out. We sing about how we hope that the one who makes peace in the heavens brings peace to us now. But I'm always reminded of something I heard somebody say once. It was actually, I was in Jordan on a tour bus, and we happened to have the tour guide was the first. You have to be like a government certified tour guide to operate in Jordan, and the person who was touring us was the first woman to ever attain that licensure. And she said that in Islam they have a phrase or saying that roughly translates to like, God will meet you halfway if you meet God halfway. And so I always think of Shabbat as like a great practice of like taking this idea of like peace, right? It's like Oseh Shalom, right? This peace that's coming from on high to here, like it's only going to happen if we can also like open ourselves up to the idea of peace. And I think that actually can happen on a very small scale, but an incredibly important scale by really practicing like what does it mean to like let go a little bit and to be open and to like actually create a little bit of space and peace in yourself. Because that's really where it starts. It's so important to do that. So one more breath, folks. Let's sing. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ayadadai, 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 Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ayadadai, 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 yambadadai, ayadadai, 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 ayadadai. One more time. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru, amen. Shabbat shalom, folks. Thanks for joining us. I hope the rest of your Shabbat is as restful, is peaceful as we begin to kind of exercise that muscle of relaxation. If you're in Chicago or enjoy the live stream, we'll be in the office tomorrow for a kind of stripped down Shabbat service, which will be really lovely. Otherwise, next week is Shavuot. So again, I'm not sure about the live stream. I think there's a live stream as well, but for parts of the program. But we'll be joining other Lakeview congregations, Anshe Emet, Anshe Shalom, and Temple Shalom at Anshe Emet. On Thursday, there's like dinner, there's learning, there's a clergy panel with a bunch of the different clergy from different congregations at at 10 o'clock, I believe, and that kicks off an entire night of learning. And if you are feeling it and want to stay up, you too, weather permitting, can end that first night of Shavuot by davening, by praying morning services on the lake with the sunrise. It's actually a really cool experience. And then we'll be continuing our celebrations of Shavuot and Shabbat with a service at North Center Town Square on Friday, where we'll also be saying goodbye to Rabbi Dina, who is heading into the next stage of her rabbinical journey. But if you're able to join us, that would be really wonderful to help create that community, that send off, both celebrating Revelation and Shabbat and amazing human beings who have made this community what it is now. All that is online. All that information is in our newsletter as well. So go to that. Shabbat Shalom, folks. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.